Hello, Cancer. Thanks for your patience as I was finishing up your channeled messages. I hope that you're doing well. We're going to be taking a look at your November forecast here in just a few minutes. For those of you that are brand new, this will span the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to put Apollo down so we can chat. If you want to watch your October forecast, they're live. The very beginning portion of this, however, will apply to anybody that's watching this live because I'm intuitive, I'm clairvoyant, and the messages here are exactly what you need to be hearing right here and right now. So let's talk a little bit about the structure, and then we'll get into the reading today. I always like to begin with channeled messages. The channeled messages I write down on note cards, and you can take a quick look at everything that I've been doing here on the table here. Basically, this comes from my research, from my dreams, from just also the act of automatic writing, and there'll be more that comes through when I actually start to convey the messages to you. So we begin with those channeled messages. That's basically me working with my guides. Then we'll go to the Celtic Cross, which is going to reveal some additional insight in opportunities, and it's really the deep dive. So what I get is sort of like the tip of the iceberg, and then we'll go a little bit deeper when we look at the Celtic Cross. And I prefer to keep this open. A lot of readers will focus it on your person or an aspect of your life. I think why not just let the cards show us what we need to look at? So that portion is very much organic, and it's exciting for me because I find out when you find out what additional messages are going to come through. After we do that, I like to then expand it to 4 areas that I know you care about, which are health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then we will pull all of that together into like a big idea, which I'll summarize in a few brief words. Then we go into a newer portion, something that I debuted last month, and depending on which sign you are, it might be new for you. We'll do blessings and blocks. And this is something I used to do a long time ago, and I've always done on my weekend videos. But basically, it's a chance to look at a highlight and then a potential block, just like the word would describe or suggest for the month ahead. Then I will look into a question that I'm interested in the soul path for you, but then I'll give you a poll that you can vote on, and there'll be like a viewer's choice question. So a little interactive piece there. After that, we will do a quick meditation, and then I always like to close with a card that I pull based on a question that you're silently asking me. So that's the main format. As you can tell, we do a lot of things here. I will, at the very end, usually a couple hours after it's live, I'll try to put in the time codes. So that's a nice way for you to come back and see things. I'll pin a comment, and then you'll be able to see chapters in the video as well. So you can always come back and look at your favorite parts. Because this is meant to be sort of a resource for you in the months ahead, so that you can come back and look at certain parts and say, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I heard. Okay, so that's the main way that this is going to be organized today. Let's get over a couple quick things here and then get started. First of all, if you have any high-level questions, you've already seen Maria Margarita. She's my moderator. She can help point you in the right direction. She also keeps this a nice welcoming space for everyone. So she's here if you have questions. I see a lot of familiar faces with all of my channel members in green. Thank you guys so much for coming back and for supporting me. If you'd like to show support, you can actually join. The way that you can join and give is basically the same button. There's this little area at the bottom here where there's a $sign. From there, you can say hello and give a super chat or super sticker, or you can join and become a contributing channel member where basically every weekend you get a chance to vote twice when I do my polls for what I'm going to cover on the Sunday collectives. I'm going to have a Q&A coming up probably by the end of this month, so you'll have a chance to ask some questions there, and there's other perks that will be announced in the future. To just say thanks in a really simple way, you can hit the thumbs up or hit subscribe. There's a lot of other ways to interact and to give back, but let's get into the messages, and I'll cover those as I get into the forecast. All right, so your totems today are fun totems, I think, actually. We have the jaguar or jaguar, depending on how you want to say it, and the grasshopper. Both of them very much representing speed and movement, all right? So Cancer, I feel really good about the month ahead. Things are picking up when it comes to speed and movement. Let's look at a couple visuals for these totems, and then let's get into what they're conveying to you this month. All right, so we'll start with the jaguar. Beautiful spotted cat, basically. And one of the defining features is that there's basically like a spot within a spot for them, because there are other big cats that have, you know, some stripes and spots, but this particular one has that. Let's see if I can zoom in on the picture a little bit, but it has that defining feature. So I'm just going to the Wikipedia picture here, but you'll sort of see like there's a spot and then there's a spot inside the spot, or it's kind of like outlined in a really cool way. So I thought that was kind of interesting to look at. And then, of course, our friendly little grasshopper here, which I actually don't mind. I mean, they're interesting. If you ever look at a cricket or a grasshopper up close, there are some parts of it where you're thinking it's a little. But the interesting thing with that is they are prehistoric. They predate dinosaurs. So they have this really kind of longevity energy that I think that is appropriate for you this month. So let's not judge something that's been around that long. I think it knows what it's doing. All right, let's get into this dual spirit totem, beginning with Jaguar. It's the third biggest cat or big cat in the world, right after tigers and lions. Much like the two of those, it's an apex predator. We'll talk more about that in a second. The interesting thing that I was looking at in my research this morning is that in Mesoamerica, which is like the lower part of North America and some of Central America, there were a lot of tribes, like Mayans, for instance, that worshiped the jaguar. There were several gods that were sort of represented by jaguars, and they appeared in their religions and mythologies. Shamanism really kind of connected to this particular animal because it was seen as a protector, as something that could help ward off spirits when a shaman was working in the other realm. Sometimes the shaman would transform into the jaguar. Sometimes it was sort of like a companion or a protector, based on the research that I was doing this morning. And I thought that was really interesting. It reminded me of a movie. I haven't seen this in a while because it tends to have like darker themes, but I remember looking at Constantine, and he was using a cat to kind of go into another dimension, saying it has like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I kind of remembered that this morning. But yeah, that's a cool sort of energy. Cats really do represent this sort of interdimensional, or like crossing between this world and the underworld. And that's kind of what it was in Mesoamerica. It was seen as a protector and a creature, again, capable of crossing between worlds. We're reading this during the month of October. It's for November, even as we go from the 31st into the 1st, like October 31st into November 1st, the veil is very thin during that period. I'll be doing a special reading on Halloween. And so I think it's appropriate that your particular sign is connecting with a spirit totem that kind of walks between the paths. So you probably are going to be picking up on messages from your higher self, from your ancestors, from spirit in general. Really good month for intuitive development, both October and November. Depending on when you watch this, it's still a good time for both. For those of you that are watching it during the retrograde, which will end on October 17th, this is a good protective symbol that you could use in your meditations, because again, it has that sort of ability to ward off some of the darker stuff. So there's a reason that came through. Like this totem, you have the capacity to also walk through a major change in your life. When I was doing, again, the research, some of these cat gods were connected with the underworld. And so whenever I see death or transformation in the totem, it usually means there's a part of ourself that we're trying to release and another part that we're trying to open up. So the cat having the ability to go between is telling me that this is the transitional month for you of, if you're not going to say goodbye or close a door or make the decision, you're getting really close. And you're starting to see why and how it's going to pan out in a positive way for you. So I really, really like that with the jaguar. And I think it's a cool cat, pun intended on that, and quite literally. The jaguar is an apex predator in its particular region anyway. And basically that means it's the top of its food chain. And basically for you, what that's saying is you don't want to give up. You have the power, the voice, and the authority you need to succeed. Maybe you haven't used it. Maybe you don't believe it. Maybe other people will be surprised when you find it or when you muster it up. But hey, bring in that emperor or the empress energy. This is a really good time for you to show people what you're made of and to surprise them. And I think this is really kind of a great suggestion and a great energy for you at this period of time. Much like when I was researching, I think the elephant is another one that has this, but it's a keystone species. I'm talking about the jaguar here. They help prevent, believe it or not, trees and a lot of the plant life in their particular forests and areas that they inhabit from being overly sort of eaten or over harvested, basically. So what they do is they prey on wildlife that would otherwise, if left unchecked, probably completely clear out the trees and the brush, and you wouldn't have then a habitat for other things to live in. So they play an important role. They're sort of like this cornerstone or this gatekeeper or this custodian, if you will, that's making sure that everything else is okay. So they're the top of the food chain. They're also keeping things in check. It's very managerial. It very much is Emperor, Empress energy. So maybe even a little bit of Hierophant. So you have this ability this month to set things into a proper order, put them into some sort of a cohesive vision for people. And if you choose to embrace that, if you choose to step into that, I think you might be surprised. Things will start to move quickly because, again, Jaguars are fast, and we'll talk about that in a second. So basically order and balance, which is what I was talking about. You're going to bring that order and balance into your environment. That could mean that you step into the role of mediation. You're an advisor. You might also be like a natural counselor or just a support person. You could kind of be the glue if you want to, if not the leader. It's kind of up to you. But I don't think you can afford to sort of sit back. You have to be active, and it would be even better if you're leading. Everything this month is actually connected to leadership, speed, and change for you, which is cool. All right. Speaking of speed, as I was researching this big cat, I found out that it can run up to 50 miles per hour or roughly 80.5 kilometers per hour, which is fast. I mean, not as fast as your car, but I don't know many humans that can kind of sprint that quickly. So I was impressed. Basically, you can get things done faster. So if you've been at a point in your life where you just feel like things are slow and it's not going the way you want, I really feel like you're going to be getting into a great period here. And I would say like this is probably going to hit after the retrograde. So for those of you that are watching live, give it about another week or so, October 17th, 18th, 17th is the end. So once you get into November, which is when this forecast is intended to sort of really be, I think you're going to see some smooth sailing. So right now, if you're watching live, make your plans, get things started, start to kind of connect with the people, get into that conductor role, that leadership role. And then I would say anytime after October 18th, things start to really take off, and most of November is going to look really productive. It's interesting because I'm not sure how it is in different countries, but North America, December tends to be a little bit slower because there's a lot of holidays that are interspersed. A lot of people take vacations or holidays. So November is kind of like the last big opportunity for you to make an impact. And whatever's left of October, depending on when you watch this. So you've got about a month and a half to check everything off your list. It's hard to believe we're that close to the end of the year, but then it's December, and then things just start to kind of like get away from you. It's hard to reach people. So this is the time to make it happen, and use your speed, use your productivity, use your leadership energy to call all of these things into fruition. All right. One thing that is notable here is that you might feel these sort of punctuated bursts of productivity because Jaguars are more like sprinters, not a long distance runner. So when the muse visits you, when you feel inspired, when you get the energy, do it. Maybe that's going to be later at night, earlier in the morning, in the middle of the day, whenever you feel like, oh my gosh, it's coming and you have all this energy, do something with it. So bursts intermittently coming through, and then you might have little periods where there's a little bit of a plateau or a dip, but I think you'll have a few of these spikes where you can get a lot done. All right. So we like the Jaguar. It has these wonderful spiritual connotations that I wasn't even aware of. I'm going to do some additional research into some of the Mayan, Aztec, and Inca mythologies because they have some fascinating deities as well, because I wanted to learn more before I quoted which gods and goddesses were connected with it. But I like that the Jaguar and the Panther made an appearance there. Okay. Let's move on to the next part of your totem, which is the grasshopper. And this has really mostly positive connotations: agility, speed, and luck. Especially in a lot of Eastern cultures, grasshopper is seen as a lucky sign. And as I said before, they predate dinosaurs. And to me, that shows the ability to survive, to adapt, and to thrive. Anything that's been on this planet and has, even if it changed in form, that tells me that it has that sort of ability to make it work. And one of the things you'll have to do through time is to adapt. So this is kind of coming through to remind you that adaptability and being open and being agile is going to be really important to overall success in your life, not just this month, right? Fun fact, because I always like to pull out some things that we didn't know, or just to kind of like contextualize why this is a really cool insect to be in your totem. these insects can jump at 20 times their length of their bodies. So if you could take an average human and give it the capacity to jump like a grasshopper, we would be able to jump the equivalent of a football field, probably an American football field, but you get the idea, a really long distance. So this to me can represent a leap of faith. It could be like the Fool card. It can also just be this sort of transformative moment where everything shifts. So it can be as big and expansive as the world too. Because one really fun thing with the grasshopper is it's one of those particular creatures on the planet that can actually go between land and air. And it does have wings. And as I was reading up on it this morning, it's not just jumping, it can fly. And I've seen them fly too. We don't have as many of them here where I live in California, but I remember when I was in some of the Western states growing up, I did see them much more, and definitely on the East Coast. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you might have to kind of go between being very practical and grounded to also having to sort of put yourself out there, see it from a different perspective. If you have any air in your chart, this will be really helpful, maybe in your ascendant, maybe in your moon, or if you're a sun sign and this is maybe one of your other aspects, then you've got it. But yeah, if you have any air, use that to your advantage this month so that you can see it from a different perspective, okay? So there you go. Leap beyond blocks in your life is really what this totem is telling you to do. You want to try to find people that can see things with that same sort of imaginative perspective. If there's anyone that's blocked, you want to like hop over that person and go to the next. And that's what I'm kind of seeing in my head with this. So sometimes that is an arbitrary or a false gatekeeper, which might be someone like a personal assistant, VP, or second in command or third in command. We want to go past that to the leader, or we want to hop past that and go straight to the audience or straight to the consumer. So get rid of the middle person, whoever he or she may be, and go straight to the person or the people that you want to connect with, because that's where you're going to be more powerful. The people in the middle, they are conservative, or they are unimaginative, or they are tuned out, and you want to kind of get past that. Once you get past that, it's going to be fine. For some of you that might be artists, this could be directly releasing something. Like a musician, you might just decide to not go with a label initially and do something on Spotify or on SoundCloud. And if you're a writer, you might just decide to do an independent release. Even big artists like Billie Eilish, I think she got really famous when her and Phineas released something on SoundCloud. One of her songs, or a couple of her songs, hit it big there before they got a big label deal. So you never know how you're going to make it big. You have a chance to sort of like get straight to the person that you're trying to reach. And that's what the grasshopper is teaching us there. I was also really interested, well, before I talk about this piece, we have to hit on the one shadow element of this particular totem. Grasshoppers are related to locusts and to crickets, but grasshoppers and locusts don't have a good reputation, particularly if you're a farmer, or if you see a swarm of these, they can just completely strip a tree of all the leaves and everything. One alone won't hurt things, but a bunch of them together can. So basically, overconsumption is a warning from this particular totem, and it's basically saying, know your budget, know your limits. And limits doesn't have to be, it's not necessarily just about resources. It can be about like overworking yourself, having too much fun, drinking too much, eating too much. This is basically saying don't go too far, because it does tend to overconsume. And if left unchecked, with grasshoppers, we need the big food chain so that birds and other things will come in and consume it. Otherwise, it will consume everything. So keep everything in check. It's a check and balance sort of month. So look at your budget, look at yourself, trust your gut, and kind of keep things in a nice middle of the line place when you're looking at expenditure of energy and resources. That was the only real sort of pause that came through with this particular totem. I was also intrigued that I believe it's females mostly, but some grasshoppers can make music kind of in the way that they, I think it might be their legs against their wings or something like that. But they're not that unrelated to crickets. It's in the same general family. Sometimes even if you look at a cricket, you can't tell immediately, is this a grasshopper or a cricket? It depends on the coloring. So anyway, you might find yourself needing to make harmony in a relationship for yourself or for someone else. sort of like a conductor role. This is again going into the mediation work or the counseling work. So you might be trying to take discordant energy in your life, people that can't quite communicate, they're speaking the same language but not really listening to each other. It's almost like it's another language. So you have to come in and kind of play the middle. Be careful with that. That can often be fraught with kind of distress or stress in general. So you want to be careful, but you might find yourself thrown in the middle because you have a way to harmonize or bring balance. And your words may be better received than others. Particularly now, when it comes to anything you're doing, you should use your voice. That's a definite here. But you may be also tagged because someone wants you to write a speech or write something down that they can't do that. For those of you that are writers, maybe you're going to be asked if you want to do like a shadow writing sort of thing where you just do it and then they put their name on it. Just really check through that, make sure that's something you want to do. Again, I think that's an interesting middle ground too. So use your words, try to be the one that's accountable for what you say, and be careful of telling other people what to say, because that could come around, especially I would say in the retrograde period until October 18th. They could blame you or something like that. So make sure that you protect yourself if you're doing something like that where you're writing something for someone else. You need to indemnify or protect yourself from that. All right. Let's move on to some messages that came in from dreams, and then we'll get started because there's a lot to talk about today. So one of the things that I saw was that there's a conversation that needs to happen. It could be a heart-to-heart. It could be some really good news. It could also be something difficult. The one thing that my guides wanted me to tell you was to avoid specifically saying we need to talk. That never is a good set of words. We need to talk. 4 words all of a sudden can make someone panic. Hey, Apollo. So if that happens in your life, if you need to have some sort of heart-to-heart with someone, I would say try to just get talking to them first so that you don't say that we need to talk, just talk. And if you have to get some time on someone's calendar, just book it. Say, you don't even need to say anything. Just say, it's time for us to connect. It's been a long time. Hey, I want to catch up is even better than we need to talk. Because usually that, if you're working in a company, that means that there's bad news usually, or it's big and it makes people panic. So get them in a comfortable element, maybe take a walk, go grab a coffee, do something that is comforting, and then talk about the important thing. Say, I'm so glad I have your ear for a second. Can I ask you a question? Or, hey, I really wanted to share some good news with you. If it's good news, say it up front so the person's not worrying. So just don't freak people out with we need to talk. In relationships too, no one wants to hear it. It just makes you kind of like shrug your shoulders. What's up? So just say it, or find a way to kind of gently navigate into it. The cool thing this month, though, is I think that you have a chance to talk about an elephant in the room, which is just a phrase to say that there's something that people see and know that they need to deal with, but nobody's doing anything about it. So for those of you that don't get the figure of speech, it's sort of like something obvious, but for some reason, everybody's not looking at it. So in tarot, this would be the 2 of Swords, someone kind of like not taking action, blindfolded. It could also be the 8 of Swords, feeling trapped, feeling like you can't because you don't have the power, the authority, etc. But these totems are telling you have to, you can, or you will find that. You want to set the stage and the narrative, set the tone of the narrative, kind of steer the narrative, and you don't want to waste time because someone else might do it first, or the other person may come to you and say, we need to talk. So talk to them before it becomes a big deal. Get this sort of thing ironed out. Because we're in a retrograde, again, as I'm doing this live, that's why I want you to be careful about word choice and use. But I feel like some of you may need to do it before the retrograde period ends. If you watch this in November, anytime you want to do it is fine. Okay. So there we go. Let's take a look now at the next portion of the reading. We're going to look at your Celtic Cross and see what additional insights and advice comes through. So let me stack up all of these cards. If you ever want to see a snapshot of this, I always post it on social media. I'll be catching up today because it does take some time. I'm still trying to figure out right now if I want to continue to type up summaries, but I'll always put these on social media. So check it out on Facebook, Instagram, and the community tab. I should have it up by the weekend. I saw someone asking about how you can connect or give back. You can actually look at it on my website. Here's a link for all the different ways. Of course, I went through it here. You can simply click on that little $ and give back, but there's also PayPal and Patreon on my website, and all the ways that you can join, they're listed there. But otherwise, click on that little button. This is a good little interim so I get into it. And you can give back by clicking on this. This is honestly the easiest way, and I'll see it in real time. And if you do it at the very end of the video, I'll say thank you. You can also on replay click the thanks button, and it's another way to give back. And I also see that. Okay. All right. So let's move into the next portion. And I mentioned social media, by the way. So on most platforms, I'm at Nicholas Ashbaugh. There's a link that I pinned at the top where you can specifically kind of connect with me there. All right. So what we're going to be looking at in this next portion, I just like to clear this up. It's for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, actually any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. You can cross-watch if you would like to. You can also join in every day. There are messages to be had, so you're welcome to listen even if this isn't your sun sign. All right. So I am specifically, though, kind of focusing at this portion on Cancer, and we're going to see what the messages are for you. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. Well, you certainly showed up in the spread today. Princess of Cups, Prince of Cups, and King of Cups. Lots. And Queen of Cups. Wow. Wow, Cancer. This is a powerful month for you. All right. There's also a lot going on with people. Whenever I get this many court cards, there's a lot going on, and I can understand why the conductor energy, the leadership energy came through. All right, give me a moment to pull the rest of the cards. For those of you in families or tight-knit communities or work environments, definitely a lot of energy around that. Two that stuck together, so I'm going to give you two here. For those of you that watched yesterday's reading, karma definitely played a role, so I'm not surprised to see a little bit of crossover here for you. All right, let's take a look at everything here and relate it to the month ahead. Let's begin with your catalyst card. We have the moon, and this also kind of aligns with the Jaguar energy, which is basically taking note of the intuitive messages. For some of you, kind of going between what's happening and what may be, kind of allowing yourself to brainstorm a little bit too. Also, 1 month. This could take at least one moon cycle for everything that you're trying to see come into fruition to happen here. So give yourself at least a month for some of your higher goals to come through. The moon card in tarot is also encouraging us to look at things that we are afraid of, things that we are inspired to do, to go into the sort of primal stuff that really, that primal passion, primal fear, and intuition. It won't lead you astray. You have to kind of deal with all of those things this month, okay? Overall, I like this as an intuitive beacon. I also like it because it's saying that the sooner you deal with something, the better. We'll go more into that as we look at some of the cards here, but let's go into the second. And you're right, this is, the moon is going to rule the water too. This is the conductor energy here. So for you, a lot of times I use the sun as a sort of central figure, but I think for Cancer, it makes a lot of sense to think of yourself as the moon. So you want to be in control of your emotions, and you want to be able to kind of like Artemis, pull in those tides, make things happen. So if you can channel your passion this month, I do think that you're going to be unstoppable, and you're also going to be very magnetic because of that. So let's take a look and let's see what's coming through. We have the chariot right smack dab in the center. Control is what we're talking about here, and I was just hitting on that. So this month, it's maybe a challenge for you, but it's the biggest opportunity. So you have a chance to step up. You have a chance to differentiate yourself from other people. You also have a chance to, I would actually say you have a responsibility to make sure that you don't lose control over something. So for those of you that are an artist in particular, writer, singer, a designer, you name it, even an architect, just make sure that you have some sort of creative control. You maintain the vision that you have for a project, and hopefully you also have the ability to reap some of the rewards, whether it's in payment or maybe recognition. You should be a controlling figure in this. So like in a movie, you'd be an executive producer. Just make sure you've got billing and also some sort of a return of that investment, okay? Don't let other people try to come in and push you to the side. We have the Five of Cups here. So the Five of Cups in this particular deck takes on an interesting tone. We're looking at all these different eyes on the central character. One thing I want to remind you, it's a good common sense piece of advice, but it bears repetition. Happiness is not necessarily measured by popularity, acceptance, or approval. It's nice to get those things. That's like the cherry, the sprinkles, the frosting on top, but it's not necessarily the important piece. Are you feeling at this moment that what you're doing is authentic to your vision? Are you feeling a sense of internal fulfillment? Does this satisfy something that you're trying to accomplish or work on a soul level? Find the internal reasons that you're doing it and use those as your compass. Usually, the external support follows that when you're happy and when you're in that sort of authentic flow. The Five of Cups is giving you a chance to look at it from a different point of view now. So if you didn't get what you wanted, if you didn't get the support that you thought you deserved, if you felt like you might have misstepped or wasted time, I strongly believe that there are no accidents. I think everything that we've done sets us up for this moment in time. So all that you have to do is recontextualize and make some wiser, more balanced decisions moving forward. Then everything that you've done was not in vain. So embrace it, say thank you. And if you don't like what's going on, say thank you. I'm ready to move on to the next thing, something bigger, brighter, better. Okay, so this is just a moment for you to have a mental reset, to not beat yourself up, to not try to please all of these eyeballs, to try not to feel like everyone's judging you. The only one at the end of the day that matters is you. I honestly believe that we view ourselves through our own eyes and through other people's eyes. It's not like God judging us. We're judging ourselves and our own actions. And then we decide what we want to do in the next life. It's a very sort of democratic thing. And honestly, at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be the harshest critic. So in this life, don't worry. You'll have plenty of time to judge yourself later. Make better decisions and move forward, and give yourself less to judge yourself with at that point in time when you have to transition to the other dimension. Right now, you just have to do well, do better, and to not hold on to the past. And that's going to be the key thing. Queen of Cups in reverse in the deep past. So for many of you, there is a sense of maybe malaise, maybe something's missing. For some of you, it also could have to do with, I keep getting mother in my head. So for some of you, it could be mother, grandmother, aunt, some sort of a maternal energy that could also be weighing heavily on you. So this could be someone who has passed. It might be someone who's living. But the key thing here for you is that you don't have, your energy is really nice and bright. When I look at the crowning card, it's the Princess of Cups. So Page of Cups. You're open. You're seeming to be able to kind of communicate this bright energy. There's something that's anchoring you. And I think it would be really important for you to realize that it's not your job to fill up someone or something else that can't seem to kind of like sustain itself. So if it's a person or a relationship in your life, there's someone who just, you can't make them happy. And it could be any sort of not happy. They could actually be sad or depressed. They could also just be really critical. So all that's important for you, again, we're trying to turn that compass inside, is, do I feel good about what I did? Can I go to sleep tonight feeling like today was a good day and I did my best? If so, you succeeded. You won the day. And if someone else can't celebrate that or see that, that's on them. That's not on you. So don't worry about whoever or whatever it is in your past or even kind of in your periphery that is kind of dragging or trying to drag you down, because when we look at the crowning card, you're shining through and there's good news and good energy that wants to come through. Let's keep that satellite up, because the Queen of Cups, her satellite is down, and you can't really kind of connect with that right now. So pick and choose how you're going to spend time and energy with either people, jobs, or relationships in your life that drag you down. No time for that anymore, okay? We have the Wheel of Fortune here in the recent past, and this is what you want to continue to ride the energy of. It's upright, so it's showing me positive shifts. It's showing incoming resources. It's showing growth. It's also indicating a new cycle in your life. So for many of you, this point of the year marks sort of, we don't always have to put it on January 1. A lot of times it can hit at any point. So I'm seeing a new cycle coming through right here and right now. And I think it's an exciting one. Positivity, movement, shift, a positive sort of incoming money. Actually, we actually got another really good money card in the environment with the Queen of Pentacles. So for you, when it comes to like money and resource, I like what I'm seeing here with money and resources. All right, the important thing for you is to continue to have an open, positive, even sometimes imaginative outcome and outlook, I would say. So the Princess of Cups, the Page of Cups, this is you looking at the good side of things, smiling, engaging with other people that are positive, really trying to sort of like elevate your mood and connect with other people in that same elevated energy. Could mean new love for you, for sure. With all the Cups cards that I received, I think the challenge for you when I go into relationships in a few moments is going to be, how are you going to balance out the relationship energy? There's a lot of people that are coming through and wanting your time and energy. For those of you in a family situation, this could be a get-together, this could be a birthday party, this could be a wedding. There's so many people here, you're not going to make everyone happy. This is definitely true for friends circles and family circles. Sometimes you try to mix them together and it's just oil and water. So don't worry about it. Do your best to make some salad dressing out of that and not worry about it, all right? You're not always going to make everybody happy. What's important for you here is, again, the movement. So when I look at a Prince or a Knight card, this is your future card here. This is about moving forward. So what I want you to do is to feel pulled up. It's so interesting. We see like the tentacles from this octopus or whatever in the background. I want you to feel like you are lifted up and you're ready to kind of take flight on something this month. There's someone with those tentacles this month that I actually feel is a little bit insecure or jealous of you. There could also be someone that makes emotional decisions. So you may be more logic-based. This other person is making emotional decisions. And if you try to have a conversation, some sort of negotiation, it probably will fall apart because logic and heart don't always meet. So it's important for you to rise above with all these water cards. You want to be on the sort of you don't want to be on the undercurrent. You want to kind of be on that wave coming out. So I think it's important to rise above, to go out to shore and not to get pulled back in under. And that's what I see. Someone's trying to pull you back or hold you back. You're not going to let that happen. In the deep past, it feels like there was something that you were putting energy in that just wasn't a good investment. So to me, this is something that weighs you down. And this is someone who doesn't want to see you do what you are doing, which is succeed. Okay. So keep on rising up, keep on succeeding, keep on, just sort of developing and moving forward with things. If it's a family, we definitely want to look at family dynamics here. What I'm seeing here is like mom and dad energy, or parental energy, mom and mom, dad and dad, kind of like pulling you down a little bit. And again, this is you deciding to be your own person. We can't make our parents happy all the time. We can't make our boss happy, the authority figures or the mentors happy in our life all the time. So definitely a differentiating moment for you to say, this is who I am. I can't always be who you want me to be. That doesn't mean I don't love you. So there's a lot of pulling back, but we'll pull the camera down for a second. So if you take a look at this, we've got the power card here, the moon, and then we have this Page of Cups, receiving. The satellite is in the upright position. Then we have all these sort of like friends and family members or community around you trying to pull in the opposite direction. The rest of your cards are upright, but it's just your fellow cups that are down. Everything else went in the upright position. So I really feel like it's the friends and family closest to you that are having this difficult time taking the jaguar or grasshopper leap of faith with you. they'll get there eventually. These aren't dark cards. Emotions sometimes just take a while to even out. All right. So don't worry. You're going to be fine. It's all right if you cause some waves, Cancer. You can deal with that, right? So you're going to cause some waves this month. You're going to make a splash and you might be the center of attention. You know what? The outcome card is really good. It's the Six of Wands. So sometimes when we need to make a splash, we need to make a splash. So I'm here for you, Cancer, and I support you on that. Do what you've got to do. Follow your heart. It'll be okay in the end. All right. You might ruffle some feathers along the way. Be that as it may, it's going to be all right. Guess what? There's someone in the, well, we'll start with this one first here. This is you. Honestly, if I was going to pull a card for you, I would hope to get the King of Cups. We want to see the King of Cups upright. The way the King of Cups will be upright is by embracing the power card here at the center, the Chariot. So make sure that you do everything that you can to stay in control, to trust your authority, to use your voice, and that's going to be all right. Notice how there's a really cool parallel in this. Can you see the little tentacle around his foot there? So the card is upside down. Notice what I was saying here. The tentacles are in the background. Don't get pulled into someone else's drama. That's their drama. That's their stuff. It's not you. Don't let someone try to imprint their own or project their own stuff on you either. You're fine. I really get the overall energy of being fine, but there's a little bit of environmental nonsense that you need to clear out, and I think it'll be okay. Speaking of the environment, there is wonderful resources on the horizon for you here. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, which usually equals happy home, happy bank account, and perhaps a really good opportunity. Could be someone interested in you, a really nice earth sign. And given all the water that I'm seeing right now, this could be a nice balance for you. So this can also indicate for those of you looking to have a baby, this is a wonderful sign of motherhood and fertility. For those of you looking to release or birth a project, this is a really great card as well. It's showing abundance, it's showing wealth, it's showing power, everything we want to see. And again, something that fits, something that feels really comfortable. I love to see a Queen or King of Pentacles if I'm looking at a new job or looking at a new home or even a new relationship. It kind of fits like a glove. It feels really good. So I like what I'm seeing around you, and I like what you're calling in, which is success, which is money, which is something that really feels good. So you're on the right path. Everything on the right-hand side here, aside from how you're feeling, is good. I think what's difficult for some of you is making a hard and fast stop. I can't tell you how many times the Eight of Cups has come up this month. I feel like it's been every single read I've gotten the Eight of Cups almost. So it doesn't surprise me because, again, if you're watching live, it's in retrograde. If you're even watching in November, we're still going to be dealing with some of that energy, the thin veil that I was talking about from October 31st to November 1. There's a lot of stuff from the past, and you're going to be dealing with that. So some of you are having a hard time letting go of the past you and making peace with the new you. Eight of Cups shows this opportunity to kind of go between two worlds. And for many of you, it's also saying, I'm not ready to let go of the old me just yet. So guess what? You don't have to. If you want to, the Eight of Cups really sets up a nice opportunity for things like a leave of absence, a sabbatical. It also is sort of like a trial period. So if you're thinking of making a move, for instance, I would recommend that you take a couple weeks if you can and really investigate the new place. Check out the supermarket, check out the bank, check out the traffic, look at the neighbors, look at all this stuff and think, is it really what I want? Would I like being there permanently? Or am I kind of in this honeymoon phase or this escapist phase where I just think the move will change it all? So do your research and ground yourself. That's why we have this Queen of Pentacles here in the reality of the change. And then you can go back to where you were and think, all right, how do I feel now that I'm back? And maybe do that a couple times if you need to. This is a back and forth. This is a travel card. So you can do that. Ultimately, with Jupiter here, this is leading to expansion. So the changes that you're making, Jupiter's calling you in and saying, it's time. Let's do this. Come on. And as you're moving through this retrograde energy right now, you just have a little bit of it's kind of like a metamorphosis. We've done a lot of talk about all the different insects that go through this. So whether it's a moth or a butterfly, or I'm trying to think of a dragonfly, they all do these different sort of metamorphosis. it takes a while before you're ready to like shed your skin, or even a snake for that matter. And there's a lot of snakes on these cards. They're hard to see. But even in this particular card, we have a little snake here too. So when you're ready to shed your skin, then some positive growth is going to happen. And the bunny rabbit. Someone asked me why does a rabbit symbolize fertility? Because it reproduces a lot. So whenever you see that symbol, it shows reproducing, or this sort of like abundance coming in. So I just see a lot of doors opening for you. And a question is to you that will help you, I think, is like, what are you trying to do? Where do you want to go? Do you feel like you've done everything that you need to in this particular place? That's going to help you navigate the Eight of Cups energy. So then you can decide if you want it to be a full stop and you're going to shut the door and go down another path, or if you're going to keep that door open and maybe you're going to go back and forth, back and forth. It's possible. But just know this, if you're trying to make a clean break, that's not happening quite yet. You have to decide if you want to be more authoritative about it, or if you're kind of cool with the fact that you have flexibility. Nothing wrong with this card. I actually like the Eight of Cups a lot. The other piece, and this is really important for all of you, especially if you're watching in October, because we'll either be in retrograde or on the shadow of it. You have a chance to do something better, like go back and a second chance, have something to kind of like fix it. So if you wanted to say something, I love you, I'm sorry, or if you wanted to take something off the shelf and finish it, figuratively speaking, maybe like going back to school, or maybe there is something that you were writing or creating, this is the chance to do it. Do it now. That is basically what this card is saying. All right. Ultimately, everything this month is setting you up for wonderful success. You got the whole world in your hands with this Six of Wands card here. And this is a really nice Six of Wands, because we're not seeing like humans looking at you. We kind of have the birds here. And if you look really close, it's sort of like they have little eyes there. So it's really representing higher calling, higher messages. And when you're ready to kind of like show that part of yourself or express that part of yourself, success will happen. Know yourself, use your voice, be authentic in your voice. And it's sort of like you'll find your new tribe, even if your old tribe has no idea what's going on. So the universe is offering you a new window of opportunity. It may come in the form of love, a job, money. There's something coming through a rich opportunity, but it does involve walking away from something and walking towards something. And I do see success associated with this. And the reason that people or this door, or this opportunity is opening up for you is because you're receptive. Isn't it interesting? Like a lot of times, if you think in your life to periods where nothing happened, it's sometimes because you think, I can't, it won't, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. When you finally open yourself up and think, well, let's see what happens. In a kind of like open manner like that, then the universe says, finally. So I want you to kind of be open to what it is that you want and say, I'm ready for it now, like now, not like the sort of like vague in the future sort of stuff. So if you do that, you might be surprised. You can manifest quite a bit this month, and I see success being your ultimate outcome there. So when we look at relationships, which I will do in the expanded forecast, we'll go a little deeper. I'll take a look at family too. It might be something that I have to do in the soul path, but we'll get it all covered because there's a lot of people coming through. All right, let's go ahead now, and we're going to expand the forecast and take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. As we do that, I want to remind you that each one of these has kind of multiple facets. So the health card, there were two that were sticking together, so I decided to just allow them both to come through. Let's start with the one that's underneath and the one that's reversed. It says that the unknown is your friend. Learn to embrace what's next. So I feel like this fits really nicely with what we're talking about. But the card is reversed. When I look at this card, it almost looks like there's this. Feels like there's this was a tower moment or something, or there's been a fire here, and it's kind of like the embers now. So to me, this also has a very sort of judgment energy, like renewal, rebirth, and walking towards that new beginning. Anyway, the card is reversed, so don't be afraid of things that you don't know. Just educate yourself. That's what I do before I show up here. If I get a symbol, I'm like, all right, let's get as much research as I can in about an hour and a half, and then I'll share with you what I've learned. So if I can do that in a very short amount of time, imagine what you can do with whatever project you have if you just spend some time today. Give yourself an hour, give yourself 2 hours. See what you can get done. You might solve everything, or at least get a really quick sort of jump into whatever it is that you want to see happen. How does this come through into the health? Well, I would say sometimes unknown will make us feel like we're afraid. Like, how can I handle this? How will I do this? So if you're feeling overwhelmed educate yourself, ask for some advice, do some research, take a deep breath, and realize that it's just one step at a time that kind of lets us get into the energy of change. All right. So now let's look at the other message here, which is sort of like the lighter energy here. It says, stop and take in the view, take stock of the treasures you've earned. So for many of you, you might be on this kind of like this treadmill, right? We're just going and going and going, or almost like a hamster wheel, because the Wheel of Fortune can sometimes be like that. If you're on the inside, notice how the power symbols are actually on the outside. So what you want to do is kind of get on the outside and get a bird's eye view. Take a break if you need to. This is more the health message that we need here. This one is about getting informed. This one is about taking a break. And the informational piece could be also for those of you that are trying to look at surgery or some sort of big shift in your general health, get a second opinion. And this one is about making sure that you do not burn yourself out, okay? It's important. Give yourself credit for how far you've come. That's what this Five of Cups card was trying to help you do as well. Let's look just at the cards for a moment with respect to health, and then we'll move on to wealth. So emotions are, I mean, that's the number one thing that I'm seeing here with Queen of Cups, Prince of Cups, and the King of Cups reversed. There's a lot of, you're feeling a lot. There's a lot of people around you that are probably intense when it comes to emotions. So what you want to do is kind of navigate through that. Many of you are naturally empathic. You probably wouldn't be here if you weren't. So when you are empathic, I had a reading recently with someone who was kind of opening up to their psychic gifts, and I was intrigued to find that they don't really do much in the form of shielding. So before you have a really intense conversation with someone, or even just before you step out the door or go to work, it'd be really good for you just to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just imagine that you're holding up, you could just see a shield. Imagine that it's like a big metal shield in front of you, titanium or something. And it's almost like you are a knight or a warrior and you're holding that shield in front of you. And you can just kind of imagine that it sits there following you as you move. It's like this magical shield. So doing that alone will help you quite a bit. You can go so much deeper in the protective symbols. You could put mirrors around you. You can put words, you can put sounds, you can put all kinds of things in your auric field. But let's just start with a shield that wraps around you. You could imagine angel wings around you. Shield yourself, however it feels right. I gave you a bunch of images and a bunch of ideas. They all work. And if you do that, you're going to be a lot less susceptible to other people's energy. And then if you're in a very difficult conversation and you think, darn it, I did not put my shield up, do it right then and there. The other thing you can imagine is, and it's really easy and very effective, just imagine that from your heart space, this beautiful light starts to emanate. It can be green, it can be gold, I don't care. See it shining and pushing the energy around you out. And in your head, say, see my light. And then imagine that your light is impermeable, like nothing can get through it. That'll work. You can do it in the moment because we all step into situations where it doesn't work. The see my light thing really, really works, especially if you're dealing with someone that's a little darker energetically. They'll lose their train of thought, they'll trip up a little bit, or they'll get distracted. Try it. Okay, so you want to protect yourself and you want to empathize, but you don't need to take on the energy. I do feel like for some of you, there could be a codependent energy that's stepping in because it's showing up. The tentacles are showing up everywhere. So work on releasing those bonds of codependency. All right. Those are the main things. And this is very much symbolic. It's not so much anything wrong in your body. It's more emotional. And for Cancer, you get that because your emotions affect your body. So we need to get your emotions protected and grounded. And honestly, if there's someone around you that is your go-to, she or he is showing up here with the Queen of Pentacles. So definitely shift into that sort of person's energy if you need to. Also, we don't have the Hermit card, but this is just about sanctifying your home space, to finding a place where you feel safe, finding a sanctuary, and that's all going to be important. All right. All right. Let's move on to wealth and money. We have karmic DNA sort of coming in here. So for some of you, this is ancestral energy. For some of you, this is also your immediate familial energy coming through, and you're releasing karma, which is something that I was talking to Gemini about. Soulmates are not always what they're cracked up to be. I was using the analogy yesterday of having a bunch of sort of like bags, carry-on bags. you have a limit when you go on an airplane, but just imagine that someone's coming to your house and has a ton of suitcases and duffel bags and knapsacks and whatever you want to call them. It's baggage. So this month, what you're going to be trying to do is release some of the baggage in karmic relationships. The fact that we have DNA here tells me it's probably blood. So this would be like brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, grandparents, etc. I would say probably living, probably blood, could also include marriage, but basically the ones closest to you that are bonded in that sort of way. So what are you going to be dealing with? You're going to try to untangle yourself. You're going to try to reclaim your power. Again, with the snakes and the tentacles this month, you're just going to let go of some of that. So for many of us, this is just sort of like, get off of my leg and let me walk. Let me try this. So I would encourage you this month to do something that feels right for you, even if other people don't completely understand it, or especially if they don't, because it's that sort of singular voice and approach that is going to be successful. For some of you, possibly even commercially successful, because the Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Wands, it's good. So you just need the right person to say yes. You don't need everybody to say yes. So don't give up if you are someone who's trying to get something sold, get a patent, get a product, get an agent, or whatever it is. For the rest of us, for the rest of you, it's really about understanding that success is not measured by the external factors, but you are going to be successful. That's what I see. So just do what you need to do, follow your heart, and it will come and it will surprise some of those people around you because you were onto something, okay? Oftentimes, especially if it's family, they're holding us back because they're afraid you won't be successful, for instance. So for those of you that are younger, maybe just graduating high school, going to college, you may be, and this is a very medical symbol too, almost a caduceus, not quite, but they might be forcing you down a career of like medicine or law. You may be more artistic, could be vice versa. Maybe your parents are hippies and you want to be a lawyer or whatever it is, follow your path. Don't live their dreams. Don't vicariously kind of fulfill other people's expectations. Do what you need to do. You're going to be breaking the bonds a little bit and causing a splash. But again, just be like a whale, basically, because that's also in your totem family, because it's a water or aquatic creature. Just make a big splash this month and it's going to be okay. That was one of the things I considered, but there were too many already. So I'm like, jaguar and grasshopper will take you. But that's what's important. You're going to have to make a splash. We've got so much water here. It makes sense. If you decide to work with friends or family, be careful. Make sure that you figure out who's in charge, how the money's going to be distributed, make sure everyone's equally being compensated and all that jazz. Some of you may actually decide to go into genetics or science, and that's fine if I take it at face value. Let's look at some specific messages just from the cards. Again, there's something around you. Like if you're looking for a job, it feels like somebody around you can help you find it. If you're looking for money or opportunities, it's closer than you think. Some of you may have something that you can develop. It's right there in your house, in your home, in your ideas. So just work on it. I see fruitful ventures basically there. There's a little bit of travel that might need to happen for this. You might be connecting with an old friend and you might get an idea from that. I do see outward success happening here. The main thing holding you back is all these different points of view. You can't make everyone happy. I actually had a really pivotal moment on one of my interviews where I had gone through 2 rounds of interviews, and then one of like the second one that I had to meet with 3 senior people and then like 4 workers there, and they had waited something like, I don't know, a year and a half to find someone. I finally said, they said, why do you think you're the one? Like, we've been through all these other ones. I said, you know what? At this point, you've seen so many people. I have the best qualifications here. You're either going to take it or you're going to leave it, and that's up to you. I can't say anything more at this point that would convince you. I presented everything, and I would say, actually, I'm kind of concerned that you can't make a decision, because if this isn't good enough, nothing will be. So I'm sorry if this wasn't enough for you, but have a good day. But they said that's what turned them around because I actually just read them in the moment. So don't be afraid to just be real and understand that something's really, really close. You're going to have to be decisive this month. You're going to have to kind of like see things as it is and see things as they are, I should say. And if something doesn't feel right, that situation I actually should have walked away from because they were indecisive, by the way. And I should have just read it and said, you know what, this isn't the right match. So I was able to kind of like show myself that I can see things, I can understand it, and who you are is enough. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that you're not going to make everyone happy, but if you can help them see that maybe that's the problem, because that results in watered down sort of like visions of things. So a lot of times when you're in a company or a family or a situation where they're trying to appeal to the masses, then it actually just, it's like a blockbuster that fails because there's no plot. It's just predictable. Everything's watered down. You need to have a point of view. So have your point of view. People will either approve it or they won't. And if you keep meeting with people that don't, this is your universal sort of protectors coming in and saying, don't go there. This one's not the match. This one's not the match. That one is. So be patient. I feel like you're going to step into the right situation at the right time. Don't force it. Don't be forced into it either. Okay, good. I think that's it for that. Let's move on to love and relationships. We have the dragon card, which is power. Hello, we're on a common theme this month. The power card was reversed, but what a cute dragon that one is. We see the sort of dragon energy awakening within this woman here in the forest floor. So for many of you, you might just find this internal awakening. Dragon energy, there's a different form of healing. Some people work with like dragon totems. So this is definitely something that will resonate for some of you. But this is passion and power. So in your personal relationships this month, we're really going to focus on how this relates to relationships. It's power dynamics. Guess what you had at the center? Power. Guess what you had as your totem? Power. So it's all about finding balance and power. Let's take a look now at those in a relationship, looking for a relationship, and single and happy. I will save families probably for the soul path, but I will cover it. So let's focus on love first, and then we'll do like family dynamics a little bit later in the reading. So for those of you in love right now, it's definitely about a decision and a tug of war with who's in charge. If we have to look at what's going on, I think optics are important. Like, what will the public think? What will our family and friends think? What you're going to say is, what do you think? What do I think? That's what matters. We're the core unit here. So if we're together, then everyone's going to be okay because we present our truth to the universe, to the public. So that's all that matters. If you have each other's back and you believe each other, you're cool. Because yeah, I see a lot of abundance here. Another thing that could be coming through is money and children. Having children, matters around children, or just money matters. So house and home, are we going to sell the home? Are we going to keep the home? All of that stuff is coming through as well. Then, even though I'm going to cover it later, mom, dad, brother, sister may also, like the in-laws or the extended family could also be playing a role. And it's almost like the wedge between the two of you. So you're going to have to figure out how to present to the family that your unit is the most important. And this other stuff around you, you're going to have to balance it, but you don't have to make everyone happy because otherwise the marriage suffers or the partnership suffers. Okay. So balance, optics, and then resources are going to be big factors. The good news is, I mean, ultimately I see success as a symbol here. So whatever you decide to do is successful. For those of you looking for love this month, wow, do you have a lot of choices. I feel like you could be more discerning because we have too many people here for me to look at. The one that I would say that comes through the most as a partner is a earth sign coming through. So for many of you, I think that this is just what you need. So whether that's a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or you have that in your charts, this is the kind of energy that you want to connect with. Otherwise, you might have a lot of similar energy coming in, and the difficulty could be that person's so kind of like similar in your way of thinking that you kind of clash heads. So take it easy this month and be more discerning because I see too many options here. So I would say it's really important to think what I want, not just like I'm looking for a partner. Say I'm really looking for a partner that's available, that's self-sustainable, like they can take care of themselves, independent, if you will. And then the other things that you're looking for, put all of that stuff out there and then release it. Because right now the filter is not as kind of like focused as it could be. You have a lot of options. That's the good news. You also seem to be very magnetic, and it's going to bode well in social situations. You'll have no problem mixing and mingling. So be picky. And I'm glad that you're receptive. Be a little bit more discerning is what I would say. You have way too many options that I see here, but the one that's coming through the loudest and the clearest is probably a nice earth sign. And I like the energy. I feel like this will be a nice kind of compliment to you. If you are single and happy, good month to be single and happy. I think the most important thing for you, we see a lot of development with money, with job, with success, and with resources. It would be a really nice time for you to be able to either virtually connect or take a trip if you can, because I see a lot of success on the heels of that trip or that broadcast or whatever it is. So off the charts movement when it comes to money and wealth and internal development this month. It's really good. And even if you don't want to connect with other people, it's going to come through because of all of the court cards. So I think this is just a really good month to be a leader for you. Okay. Let's move to the last card and then we'll go into the next portion of the reading. Hello, this makes a lot of sense because we had it in the environment. It was reversed, but we have grounding here and it says, go deep, explore your roots. You can use a tree. We may use a tree today in our meditation. It depends on what else I see today. But trees are fantastic ways to just practice that meditation. And if you're not good at meditating, you can just go outside and touch a tree and lean against a tree, take a few deep breaths, and just feel the strength of the tree. You don't even have to kind of see things in your mind or feel things in your body. Just feel the sturdiness of that. And as you breathe, as you connect with that, just your breath is an offering to the tree and the support that it gives you. It's very symbiotic. So do that. But getting grounded is getting realistic. Look at the facts, look at the figures, figure out why you're doing something, ground yourself in those realities, and that's going to help quite a bit. All right. I like everything that I see for you this month. I know you have some challenges with relationships, but I feel like you're going to navigate it. I feel like a lot of it is about just owning your own power and realizing that's okay. In fact, that kind of is the big idea. So let me summarize. The number one thing that came through, there are two big things, but the first one was power dynamics. So reclaiming and establishing for some of you the power or the boundaries that you need. The other big thing that came through was grounding, working with any sort of earth placements that you might have in your chart, and also working with people in your life that give you that sense of grounding. I think if you can focus on those two things this month, you're going to be in a really good place, and to stay receptive to positive outcomes. Those are like, if I had to pull three big pillars from today's reading, I would say those are the big ideas. We have a few today. Now let's focus on blessings and blocks. I'm going to work with, sometimes I like to go with an oracle deck. So I'm going to use the Afro Goddess Oracle deck on this. We're going to focus on the blessing first and see what's coming through for you. What blessing for the next 6 to 8 weeks is coming through for Cancer? Something to embrace, something to celebrate. So we have the garden. Hello. I get all these beautiful, abundant cards here. And it's kind of like we see the Queen of Pentacles in her garden in this particular card. So this is your chance to, and also notice how she's halfway through this sort of portal. So I feel like many of you are getting there. We have the number 20 on this, by the way, too. So 20th of this month, 20th of next month, there could be some pivotal movements. This looks like a big key to me as well. So I feel like you're right on this precipice of massive growth and development. And I think that this is a very harvest-based card too, like Judgment. So this is your chance to reap the rewards for the work that you've done. It basically involves your own sort of trust and confidence in yourself, which comes with practice, putting yourself out there. I want you to do it because I feel like this is a really good opportunity for you. So take time to nurture yourself, to invest in yourself, to develop yourself, and then reap some of those rewards. And if you can't get them where you're at, like say you go back to school and your boss still doesn't give you, a raise or whatever, take that experience and that new education and go somewhere else because you are worth it. That's basically the message on this card. You're worth it. Growth is at your fingertips. And if you don't see it where you're at, go somewhere else. All right. But we see growth. Growth is the main thing. And people are going to notice. So it's just a question if they're willing to recognize it. Right. All right, so let's move on to the potential block for this next month for you, something that you want to avoid or be aware of. Change is necessary. So we have the basically a symbol here for death and rebirth. We're looking at the tool that death uses to basically reap, but also there's a nice connection with these two because this is used for harvesting. So basically you're at a point right now where you're being asked to let go and to embrace and move through and to something else. It's like taking the fruit of your labor and allowing now for something new to come through. So it's letting go. The block will be, are you ready to let go? If you're not, notice how the moon card is in, or the moon is in this one as well. I feel like you have about a month here to kind of make a decision. If you don't make a decision, someone will probably make the decision for you and come through in the form of this particular energy, which is reaping, harvesting, or kind of conveying that sense of now is the time. So this is why I said there was a little bit of immediacy in needing to sort of set the stage. I said, like, don't waste any time, set the stage and the tone for the conversation, because if you don't, someone else is going to deal with that elephant in the room. And so I want you to be the agent of change. So we see growth, and then the delay possibly because you're afraid to say or make the change happen. Okay, so there you go. Let's now get ready for the interactive piece, and then I'll read the soul path. So I'm going to put out a few questions for you to vote on that I like, that I'm looking at today here. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to do a viewer poll. So if you're watching live, this is going to appear in just a few moments above the comments after I type everything. So we're going to do viewers choice, and let's look at what we're going to put out for you. So choice. And let me put my glasses on so I can see this. One of the things I found really fascinating as I looked at this was the Eight of Cups energy. So I want to understand this ability to, kind of go between things. Are you ready to close a door? What's going on with this? So I think it is tying up loose ends. So let's put that as the first one, tying up loose ends. And I'm going to put Eight of Cups so you understand what we'll be looking at. Eight of Cups. The next thing that I'd like to look at, again, I'm going to do family dynamics while we're reading all of these, or while you're voting on all of these. Oh yeah, is sort of also understanding, like, making peace with like external versus internal success. So optics versus like reality of this. So let's look at balancing external expectations. I'll just make it something easier. How to make sure that you're not letting like group pressure or peer pressure. External, I'm going to put actually external peer pressure. That is better. And instead of balancing, we'll make it navigating. And let's do one more, and then you can vote on these. Finding your footing. And if there's two that are really close, I'll read them both, but finding your footing / grounding. Okay, so there you go. I'm putting those up for you to vote on while I take a look at these family dynamics, which are a little crazy. Thank you so much for your support there to Brynhilde. I appreciate it. By the way, anybody that gives super chat or a member chat like she just did, I will acknowledge you at the very end. I do appreciate you guys as well. Okay, so I'm going to look at some stuff while you are voting. Again, you can vote on it in the upper corner here, only if you're on web or iOS devices or Android. If you happen to be watching it on a TV, it won't work, or a gaming console, it won't work. All right, so let's take a look at these. I'm going to pull a general card first, and I'm going to say, show us what we need to know with respect to family energy, like just family and friends. What's going on with these people that are kind of like pulling back or kind of like holding back or holding us back, and how can we kind of move past that? So how to rise above all of that. Ten of Wands. All right, so for some of you, there could be actually this, there are two messages that are coming through. The first one is it's not your job to kind of carry the weight. So if you have a lot of, maybe you're in a bigger family, but you're the responsible one, like the responsible sibling or whatever, there's too much weight being put on your back. You don't have to do it, delegate. Your time kind of being the one that's carrying the load, which you would normally see with the 10 of Wands, is done. And we have a death and rebirth symbol here. So basically delegate it, or just let it go and see what happens when you don't do it. So just walk away from some of that stuff, or ask for help, or simply say no. The other piece for this one is that some of you are being pressured because you're no longer in the same sort of vicinity. If you've moved, This is a card kind of expecting you to travel more, do more, to kind of come back and again, tie up all these loose ends. So create some space, create some boundaries, and don't feel like you have to carry the load anymore of making everybody happy and making everything work. You can either, if nobody else steps up, you can be the one that steps in and hires help. Like if there's older parents, or if there's someone that needs help, like you just outsource it if you need to, or specifically assign somebody that role. So, but it's time to move on. That's what I see with this. There's too much on your back. It's too much of a burden, and it's okay for you to say no more. Okay. I actually feel like that covered things pretty well, but I'll just see if there's any other messages for that, because there was a lot of people cards. So I'll say, for those of you not looking at family, how can you balance the other people in your life that are kind of tagging at your resources? So this might be roommates, friends, etc. What's the message there? Because the other one was particularly for families. If it's a roommate, it's time to move out, or it's time to find a new roommate. If it's friends, it's time to kind of like take a break. So we see it's a little bit, obviously you can't do this with family, which is why it's more about moving on, delegating, but this is still sort of like, there's still rebirth in this particular card. But for this, a change has to happen. And they have to, if it's going to continue, you both have to work at it. We do have a tower reverse, which can be rebuilding, but when I look at this, I think it's probably time to let go, to put some energy into some more constructive relationships in your life. It's really interesting when we look at all three. We have rebirth symbols on all of them. So this is basically death and its tool. This is basically a symbol of death and rebirth. And this is also rebirth. So changes have to happen. All right. Let's end the poll. I think we have a really clear winner here, tying up loose ends, but let me just end the poll and make sure that that's the case. I'll start to shuffle the cards, and once I get confirmation on the winner of the poll, then I will tell you what I see. So as selected by all of you, the viewer's choice is going to be tying up loose ends, basically navigating the Eight of Cups by about 49%. Thank you for the 102 votes. That's actually more than usual on that. So we're looking at this card, which can sometimes leave us stuck in the middle, kind of in a limbo, right? Not either where we were or where we want to be. So how can we get a sense of being where we're supposed to be or where we need to be? And does this door need to stay open? Okay, this is a really interesting answer to that question. The Four of Cups tells me that, first of all, there's something's much closer than you think. Usually, like we see someone here actually lifting up the cup and seeing what's there. We also see this sort of, it's almost like the universe peeling back the veil and saying, hey, there's something bigger. So for many of you, I think that you already have the big picture. You're just kind of afraid to see it. There is an interesting undercurrent of fear, uncertainty, or sort of indecision that's permeating the reading today. So I would say for you, trust that where you're at is where you should be, especially if it's a new sort of thing that you're trying out. And that that you don't have to, like a lot of times with the Four of Cups, we worry that someone else is living a better or more adjusted life, that if we would do this, we would be happier. Again, it's saying turn the needle within. And if it feels right, you're exactly where you need to be. You have that final cup from this card here. A lot of times you see one missing. So you're carrying it with you. So it's an ace card, basically, when that happens. And even when this person's lifting up the one, ostensibly, they're going to take that and do something with it. So what does your heart tell you? Do you like it or do you not like it? That's all that really matters at the end of this equation. I'll pull one more card, but I think it's actually a perception issue. So if you feel good about it, do it. If you don't. Should the door stay open? That's what I want to know. It's done. So the World card tells me it's time to step into something new. But it's hard to say goodbye, or it's hard to let go. The good news is you can always go back if you want to, but you don't have to. And it's nice to have that open door, but sometimes it makes for a messy sort of energy, and then you constantly are dealing with something that people are expecting something from you. So for those of you maybe that used to do some sort of a service job, like you cut people's hair, and all of a sudden you went into a regular business, a different business, I should say, because that is a regular business. Let's say that you're doing a traditional 9-to-5 job now, and you just don't have a chance to cut people's hair, but you still have clients on the side, but you're trying to do it both. It's just not going to work out, right? You're trying to do your old stuff, but you're really into something new. Let the old you go, because if you want to help 1 or 2 people, that's fine. But I see sort of this pivotal moment where it's time. Basically, it's time to sort of accept something new and embrace it. When you fully embrace the new you, then the world card comes through, which is expansion, which is recognition, which is rapid growth. This is kind of anchoring you back a bit. So I do think it's time to shut the door, but I think that you have to feel that. I can't make you. You're the only one that can kind of embrace it. So do an audit of your energy. Look at what it's like to kind of be between 2 different things, and then understand at some point when you commit to the new thing that rapid growth and development happens. Okay. So those are the main messages for you. We're going to now parlay into the next portion, which will be a meditation and a final card. The final card, I just want to set it up how this will work. Since I don't take questions live, what you can do is write it down on a piece of paper or just think it in your head while we're meditating. And then I'll pull a card for you. So this could be like, should I take the job? Should I do this? Whatever. That's kind of how I deal with it, is it's a single meditation that we all do. And then I pull a card and I can kind of see the overall energy. So we'll do that in just a moment. I'm going to be playing a singing pyramid. I've changed things up. I still have my singing bowl, but this is kind of cool. And so if you've never listened to this, stick around and I'll play this in a moment. And then we will we'll wrap up after that. Okay. A couple of quick notes. I try not to say it too much, but if you like what you're seeing, please consider hitting the thumbs up just once. It only works 1 time per video. If you've never subscribed, consider subscribing. When I look at my dashboard, sometimes I'm surprised to see like 60 or 70% of the people that watch have not subscribed. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't obligate you to anything, but it does help you find me in the future. And it does help you know if I'm going to be doing new videos. You can give support if you would like to. I will acknowledge you at the end of this video. And if you happen to watch it later, you can also show gratitude by hitting thanks, and I'll give you a little heart for doing that. And finally, like I said before, you can find me on social media at Nicholas Ashbaugh or on Twitter at @nashbaugh. And those links are up above. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the meditation today. There's a lot of grounding energy. There's a lot of water energy. I kind of am drawn to the place of Hawaii seems really cool to me for the meditation. I haven't visited, but I think that's what I want to do. So just imagine yourself on one of the shores of the islands of Hawaii. And in the background, you can see a volcano, and you can see the sort of steam and smoke coming up from the volcano. You have that connection to the heat and the fire of the earth. You see the water in front of you, which is really good for your sign. But as you sit on this new stretch of land that basically has cooled down and is now starting to sort of be blessed by the ocean, if you will, I want you to sit down on that and feel this connection to fresh earth, new ground, because I think that's really symbolic of the world card. And seeing the divine feminine energy around you with the earth, and then also seeing that divine masculine energy with the volcano, you have a nice kind of combination of elements. Just close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to feel connected to that. Imagine that you could plug into the power of the ocean waves as they crash upon the shore. You could feel the fire and the heat from the volcano. You could also feel the stability of this island that you're on. And above you, you can hear the birds, you can feel the wind blowing through your hair, and the sun shining down on you. All of these elements, all of these beautiful things, telling you that in this moment, you're just like the magician. You can connect to them. So you could reach one hand up, almost catching a ray of sunshine. You could put one hand on the ground, touching the earth, and you could just feel the energy course between both points of contact. And allow yourself in this moment to believe that you can create whatever it is that you want to create. And while you do that, I'm going to play this crystal pyramid, and then we will later pull a final card to look at whatever question you have for me. So let me just get the camera set up and let's begin. So just close your eyes, relax, and see yourself being able to create, being able to channel, and trust in that. Take a deep breath. Feel now that that power, that energy from above is starting to course through your veins, that you're capable of accomplishing anything that you set your mind to. Imagine that if you could even pull a ball of energy in front of you. You can rub your hands together. Feel the warmth, feel the heat, feel the light from the sun, from the volcano, from the earth itself. And I'll do that with you as well. And imagine that you could start to feel this energy in front of you, the energy of creation. You can put that in your heart space if you would like. In this moment, reclaiming your power, reclaiming control, and saying, I am ready. Take a few deep breaths at your own natural pace. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to take a look now at your final question for me. All right. So as an answer to your question, the Five of Pentacles has to do, it's reversed, which is actually the preferred sort of position for this. But I would say for you, there's still a little bit of work on believing yourself, on self-confidence. So it would be an almost. It's not quite a yes. It's not quite a no. For this, it feels like you, first of all, you have to believe in yourself for something to manifest. You have to believe in yourself to have a fair deal. It feels like for some of you, you could probably get something, you could get a little bit more. So if you're trying to sell something, the Five of Pentacles is actually beneath value. And it's usually because there's a disbelief from one side or the other that that value is existing. So trust in yourself, fight for the intrinsic value that you have or whatever it is that you're trying to sell has. Working on self-confidence, super important. If you're negotiating a salary or anything like that, there's more to be had. So I want you to make sure that you're getting the max. And it's not a heck of a lot. Like I would be happy with Six of Pentacles. So just push for a little bit more. Be realistic and assume that, especially before you step into some sort of a negotiation, that I'm worth it. I'm more than worth it. And I'm ready for this to happen. And I think if you do that, you'll be surprised at the outcome with that. Okay. Healing is necessary between you and between a family member with this card sometimes. So particularly with parents or children, this card is about letting go of the past. And if you're ready to sort of reconcile or release, some good things will happen. Sometimes when I get a lower frequency card or reverse one, I like to just pull a clarifying. So we'll do one last clarifying card today. And I have the Four of Pentacles. So these two are like sister cards. Sometimes I get the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords. Four and Five of Pentacles are also kind of sister energy or brother energy, if you will. The reason here is a disbelief or like the thinking that this is all there is. So I feel like this message has come through a couple times this month. So I want you to realize that you shouldn't stay in something because you think that that's it, because it's the best that you can do. There's something better on the horizon. We can see the moth in the background. So limiting thoughts or familial sort of energy that's trying to hold you down or hold you back, it came back through this. Don't limit yourself. Reach higher, push for more, and wait until that connection comes through that allows you to really get to the Six of Pentacles, which is missing. Okay. That is everything, Cancer. Overall, you have great cards this month. I want to remind you again of the success message at the end. Everything was really leading up to the Six of Wands, which is success. We look at the hand here, which is you basically are framing up the sort of narrative for the future here. So really trust and believe in yourself and show people that you believe in you. When that happens, then the success comes in naturally and easily. All right. I'm going to take a couple moments here just to give some thanks to everyone that's given back. Before I do that, just a reminder, I'm going to give you the link to my live schedule. I will be live on Sunday, and I'm going to, for all of you, especially the new members, you're going to have a chance to vote a couple of times for the upcoming reading. Just like we do the live polls here, I pick some topics, and you help me pick the special topic for the weekend. I always do a 7-day forecast and some blessings and blocks and things like that. But the big topic you get to pick. So all subscribers can vote once. Patreon subscribers can vote again, and so can channel members. And if you're a Patreon and a channel member, you can vote 3 times. But that's just a way for me to give back a little bit. So let's go ahead now and give me a moment just to say thanks to everybody who was kind enough to show some support today. It's good to see you. let's say hi to some of the new channel members first, and then I'll move on to those who gave some support. So it looks like there's a couple of new people that joined today. So we have J Love Era. Thank you so much. Daryl Gavis, thank you very much. And it looks like Bible Chat as well rejoined. So good to see you back as well. I think those are all the folks from, actually there was one new one as well, Jenna Johnston. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead to the folks that gave some super stickers or super chats today. Thank you so much. It looks like we have a few here, and I appreciate that. Okay, so beginning at the beginning here, Megan Clark, Crystal Porter, Bryn Hilder, thank you so much too. I saw that you put a special message up. By the way, members get to do that. I think once a month you get a highlighted message. So thank you, Bryn Hilder. Jenny, Santiago, Pat's Beauty Blog, Corey21, Jerry Scooter, Jane Bond, Suzette Cheeseman, Beverly Kendall, and Poller17, it looks like. Thank you so much. And let's see if I missed anybody else. I don't think I did. I appreciate your love and support, everyone. I hope you had a good reading today. I hope you enjoyed the meditation, and look forward to seeing some of you on the weekend. The next proper sign that I'll be reading for will be on Monday the 11th. I'll be doing Leo. And then later next week, I'll be looking at Virgo and Libra on Thursday and Friday. Again, everybody feel free to join me for the Sunday Collective at 9 a.m. Pacific this Sunday. All right. Have a fantastic day. Thanks again to Maria Margarita for your help. And have a great month ahead. It looks like there's a lot to celebrate and a lot of things that you'll be juggling with people, but you can do this. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.